WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and you're listening to the Boy and Girl Show and a Boy and Girl Thing. And I am CC Schatz. I'm the doyen of relationship building, and I have with me.
And I am Derek Bernard.
Derek Bernard. And we've been doing this show for some time, so we hope that you guys are enjoying it and joining us. So we do appreciate that. And of course, we are live here on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. So if you'd like to place a comment, we would love to hear it. And we do already have a comment from Bill. So thank you, Bill, for listening to the show. We appreciate it. Happy New Year to you. So we like that very much. Someone comments for us to let us know. But we are, gosh, did you have a good time over the holiday season?
Absolutely. That's what holidays are made for.
I know they are. And I actually took a break myself from working, and I enjoyed. I had a family down, and family over and family down, and so I just spent time being with family. So
that's nice.
I enjoyed that a lot. So yeah. So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Our New Year's resolutions for singles: how to begin living your best life. And people ask me all the time, what is your best life? What would you consider your best life to be?
You know, for me, your best life is to live life the way you want it. It's not necessarily having all the material things, but understanding that your happiness comes from within yourself and trying to adjust your life to achieve happiness. Your best life is a happy life, basically.
Yeah, most certainly. That's exactly what I think too. I think that it's everyone's life is different, and what we feel personally as is important may be different for other people. And so, yeah, we want to be happy. So that's what it's really all about, for sure. Let's talk about it. Let's see, I have it up a little bit, the different things. The first one is to commit to self-improvement project. So what did you think about that when you read that?
Well,
considering a self-improvement project, what would you consider that to be?
Well, that could be any aspect of yourself that you think needs to be improved. It could be your education. It could be your social life. It could be your physical self. It could be your spiritual self. Mm-hmm. It could be financial self. Any aspect of your life that you think that you need to improve can fall under this category. I like what she said here. If you want, I can read it.
You can, sure.
Yeah, and you said, have you always wanted to learn how to play guitar? Is there a Pilates class that you have that you've been thinking about trying but haven't had the chance? The new year is a perfect time to find a new hobby or pastime that can not only enrich your life, but can open you up to new people and possibilities. When it comes to expanding your interests and passions, the coming year is truly the ideal time to commit to self-improvement and growth. After all, when you resolve to learn a new skill or take on a new challenge, you likely end up learning a lot about yourself. And that's true. Mm-hmm. If you challenge yourself, you're going to learn more about yourself. And since this is directed at singles, doing things like going to Pilates class or going to the gym or learning to play the guitar will actually put you into contact with other people of similar interest. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a point well taken.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think to me, the biggest thing that I got from that particular paragraph was the fact that so often we do things for other people. We focus on, our families or family members or work or whatever. We don't necessarily always focus on ourselves.
Right.
So bringing it home, focusing on us, and understanding what really makes us tick and what we enjoy and what we want to do. And biggest thing I think is broadening your horizons, because
absolutely,
when you do that, it creates, a shift in your life. You meet new people,
mm-hmm.
And it's just really a wonderful thing. So I think we should all focus on self-improvement a little bit. So maybe in 2020, we could all take one thing that we might like to improve in our lives or explore,
right.
or create a shift. maybe we could do that and see what it is. Maybe, even just being adventurous, taking a vacation, doing something different, but something that we truly want to do ourselves, that we want to focus on ourselves.
I think it's a year that we can really challenge ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do something challenging for a change, not the easy thing.
Yes, I agree. Like for me, on 2019, I wanted to write a book. So I managed to slide that in right at the very end, but I got it done. Now to this year, I want to do the same thing, but I want to learn. For me, I like to learn new things. And so with the radio station and the website design and all that different things that I'm doing, but I want to learn how to edit videos so that we can make our videos look kind of cool. So I'd like to learn how to do that. And I have both of my sons who also are going to come on board and try to help do that a little bit. So I'm very excited about that. So that's mine. So I want to, ask you out there, the listeners, that what is it that you want to do to improve, something for yourself or something that you've been wanting to do, maybe on that bucket list, and, that's something you wanted to learn, and embrace that this year. So that would be great. So let's talk about the next one. The next one, okay, is putting yourself out there in many ways. And again, I don't know if we mentioned it, but this article was featured in liveabout.com, and it is written by Stacy Laurel Lloyd, and I believe it was updated here recently, or actually in March of 2018. So, but it's still spot on. So I think it's
still relevant. Yeah,
it's very relevant. Just like all of our shows, they tend to be over time, even they're become more seasoned. So I think they're very good. But this one is put yourself out there in new ways. And it says an important resolution for those who are single is to seize every opportunity to put themselves out there, out of their comfort zone in the new year. Instead of turning down different social engagements and situations that may come up, you should resolve to say yes when it comes to trying new things, opening yourself up to new opportunities. Is there a college alumni mixer in your area? That'd be kind of cool to go to. You should go. Did you invite a friend with you to an opening of an art gallery? You should join her. Even though the act of trying new foods, delicacies in the new year can make it more satisfying, fulfilling in many respects. And again, that's putting yourself out there, doing something different, Yeah.
It's engaging socially.
Mm-hmm.
Engaging socially in different settings in different ways. Very often when you're single, you tend to sometimes get a little into yourself, because a little loneliness might set in or whatever, and you're not going out there with enthusiasm, you're not gung ho, especially when people are past a certain age. When you were young and in your early 20s and stuff, I remember when I was at that age, I never missed a social engagement. Every weekend I had to go somewhere, some party, something was happening. And if you didn't go, you felt like you missed everything. Now you've been there, done that. And it's not, you don't necessarily jump at everything, but I think it's challenging to try and get yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
Just get yourself out there. And, like Forrest Gump said, Mama said, you never know what you get when you open a box of chocolates, right?
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Yeah.
I think we should start opening all the boxes of chocolates out there and see what we find.
Mm-hmm. Well, we often think that life will come to us, but it's not. We have to live life in order to experience it.
Absolutely.
And so we have to meet, and if we're single and we don't want to stay single, we have to meet new people. And the only way we can do that is really to start embracing and going out and doing different things. And so I would suggest that it's a great idea. And I was just talking to Rosalind Sadaka on an earlier show about this, is that doing something different that gets you out into the social environment, doing something like she suggested, doing something that you really might enjoy, but something different. So that way you're meeting a different group of people. You're experiencing something different. You go to the other side of town. Like I live in Pinellas, you live in Hillsborough. You know, you go to different
Right.
places because you meet different people. And you just never know what happens when
You never know.
when you do things like that. Okay, you want to do the next one?
Yeah. Adjust your attitude. When it comes to heading into the new year without a relationship, you should make sure that you have the right mindset and outlook. In fact, it's even been more important. Oh, sorry. In fact, it's never been more important to be upbeat and optimistic about the coming year and all of the possibilities that it and all the possibilities that it can bring. Sorry about that. Rather than looking at it through a jaded lens. If you head into the new year ahead with negative thoughts and expectations, this can actually become a self-fulfilling prophecy that can derail the coming year before it even starts. On the other hand, when you decide to stop being a pessimist and a downer, the sky is the limit. And that is so true, because we generally live according to our expectations. And I like the word she used there, possibilities. Um, many years ago, I read a book called Possibility Quotient, I think it was. And I started following the principles in that book. And so I always said, I'm a possibility thinker. I'm a possibility thinker. Nothing is impossible. And if you adopt that attitude and you adopt an attitude of positivity and you create that environment around you on a psychological basis and so on, and spiritual basis, you would find that your mind causes you to move into areas of possibility. So you generally become more positive, and that goes a long way. One of the most attractive things about a person is their confidence. When you meet a confident person, you automatically feel affinity and you feel attracted to that person. And when you're positive, your confidence comes out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we want someone in our lives that's upbeat and, going to raise our vibration level as we continue to raise our vibration level.
Absolutely.
And nothing worse than being with somebody that's negative and down and,
oh my God, that's
I just go from one complaint to the next complaint to the next complaint. And you know what? Sometimes we say to ourselves, old people are like that, right? Well, I am not getting old, so I'm just not going down that road.
I am not going down that road at all.
So I am going to be positive come hell or high water.
And that's one of the things that would really keep you young, positivity, being positive.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. I've never been one in my life for someone to tell me that I can't do something,
Right.
that I can't achieve something. And when someone does that to me, and I've had it happen to me a lot, telling me that, I'm not able to do this or whatever, I'm not smart enough to do that or whatever. It's like, I'll show you, and so that person that says those negative things to you, they're really at a plateau that you're just not at. And so don't go there. Step up and embrace who you are and who you're stepping into and who you're becoming, because I've said this many times, is who you are today is not who you're going to be tomorrow or who you were yesterday. And so you want to move through to being the person that you're becoming. And so let's make that one of choice, one of positive and embracing, the goodness in life. And I think goodness will come to you when that happens. So yeah, I totally agree. So, an attitude check. If you're a Debbie Downer, and I hate to say Debbie, or Debbie's out there, but if you are a Debbie Downer, get in check, realize that that's going to get you nowhere. And And that. So the next one is one of my favorites, smile often, which I do. I smile and laugh often. And it says, along these same lines, the small act of resolving a smile more this year can make a huge impact on yourself, and not only yourself, but on others as well. In fact, you can make a conscious effort to smile. You'll automatically find yourself in a better and a happier state of mind, plus the positive energy that you exclude from can actually draw others towards you. Not only does smiling indicate that you're an energetic and an upbeat person, but it also makes you more approachable, accessible, and attractive to those around you without having to say a word. And I think that is pretty cool, because think about it for a minute. You don't even have to say anything. All you have to do is just smile, right?
Yeah,
And how awesome
absolutely.
is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And I've had men tell me all the time, well, you got the best smile. You've got, and they haven't even, they don't know that I'm a Debbie Downer. I've disguised it with my smile.
Oh my gosh. No, a
Ah,
smile is one of the best things that someone can do. In fact, I often say that you have to find the occasion to laugh every day, and you have to always be smiling.
mhm.
Just smiling can change your whole outlook. It can change your mood. Um, when I was doing a sales course once, and it was, we got to the telephone part because we had to make calls to clients sometimes. And one of the things you learn is that, hey, smile on the phone, because when you smile on the phone, it comes through in your voice, it comes through in your manner, it comes through and it reaches the client you're speaking with.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think that a smile is just something visual, but it's also something psychological. When you smile, your tone of voice changes, your attitude changes, and that positivity comes through when you
Mhm.
smile. So smiling is very important.
I agree with that. And ladies, let me tell you a trick. When you're smiling, no one sees the wrinkles. So you can have wrinkles all over there, but you
Oh
will not
my
see
God.
that.
The wrinkles turn to smile lines, right?
They are, because I think that's, and honestly, I do think that in our faces, the lines that we have are created a lot with our smiles, and because our smiles raise up, our eyes raise up, and
Right.
so when our face is all relaxed and down, then there's those wrinkles there. So smile, 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 and hide those wrinkles. Don't get Botox,
Oh
or
my
any kind of
God.
surgery. Just keep smiling. Save your money. That's what you need to do. I will tell you a story. There was I think it's still out there. There's a phone, um, like dating type of service, and
Uh-huh.
I think it's called Quest. I think that was the name of it. So if anybody wants to check it out, but it's just a phone one, and you call in, you get your number, and it's really kind of cool. It's kind of, you have a secret number or whatever, and stuff, and
Mhm.
you call in, you make a little recording, right? And
Yeah.
I was with my girlfriend one time, and we had drank a little wine, and so she was on this thing all the time, and so I said, okay, I'll get on it. So I was drinking a little wine, and we got on and we started doing it. And I said, my profile, I had to say what my profile is. And I say, I have all my teeth, and things like that. And I was just like this. I'm laughing the whole time I'm saying it. And I'm giggling away, and I'm all this. I got more men comment on my
Right.
thing saying they loved it because I was laughing and I was smiling, and I must be a very joyous person, and they would like to meet me, and blah, 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 blah. And it was, but I was just saying weird things like that,
Right.
like,
It came across as authentic, you know.
but it was funny. And we had a ball, an absolute ball doing it. But it's true. I think that if we're laughing and we're joyous, people want to be around us.
Oh yeah.
They want, they just want to be around you. They want to feel that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of sadness in life. And so those that are experiencing that want to be around someone that is upbeat. And
Of
so,
course. Of
yeah,
course.
try. So definitely you want to try to do that. So I think
Absolutely.
that was good. Okay, you can do the next one. Pamper yourself.
Pamper yourself. When looking at the year ahead, it's also important to resolve to make your personal care and comfort a priority. While you may not be used to putting yourself last behind your work, family, or the other commitments in your life, while you may be used to putting yourself last behind your work, family, or the other commitments in your life, it's imperative to make the new year a time of self-care. Whether you designate time to go to the spa, schedule a weekly massage, or simply resolve to go to bed earlier each night, factoring your needs and wants into your busy schedule can help you be your best self in the coming year. Interesting. That's true.
I think that's really important. You know, I did a whole goal setting session today on the business showcase, and
Mhm.
one of my personal goals this year, and I started implementing it last year, is starting to take better care of myself. And
Right.
so, meaning, you know, I was working, I found myself getting up at, 4 or 5 in the morning and working till midnight, 1 o'clock, only getting a few hours sleep. Even
Mm.
though I love what I do, but I found myself getting tired. I was starting to get worn out, things like that. So I've made a pact with myself that I am going to, get a good night's rest. I'm going to go to bed. Even if I can't sleep, I'm going to turn off my work, and I'm going to, watch. I like HGTV, so I'm going to watch, the home and garden channel and just kind of let things go. The other thing that I found is that I was working I was working 7 days a week. So I told myself that I really wanted to be more in touch with with my spiritual side. And so now I don't work on Sundays anymore.
Okay.
And during the and I want to go to church, so I found a wonderful church I love, absolutely love, and believe it or not, we are. I'm not going to be the organizer of it, but I'm going to be and helping. But we're doing a divorce group there, and we're
Oh,
also doing a single group there.
I
So
see.
there's two things that, of course, is my passion, and so I'm helping to establish that within the church environment, which I'm very excited about helping and doing that. But so I decided that I wanted to get more in touch with that. And then the other thing is that I realized that I'm going to be a better me, a better person if I take care of myself, if I start homing in on things that are important to me, and of course allowing myself to live a little bit longer. So I think it's things that we have to do like that to really get more in tune with ourselves. Another thing I did, like during the holiday season, and I'm kind of regretting it now, but I didn't answer any of the emails. I mean, I was getting them and I was seeing them on my phone. They were driving me a little. Some of them I did, but a lot of them I let them sit because I thought, I got to go to bed, or I have to be with my family, and I need me time. So I'm going to start taking some me time and be able to do it, because I also take care of my father. So it's not just me I take
Yes.
care of, the business I take care of, but I take care of, and 24/7 my father, and that's a huge load, a huge commitment. So but yeah, so I think we have to do that. We need to take care of ourselves. So give me some examples you're doing for yourself, taking care of yourself.
Well, I mean, as I was telling you before the show started, I decided to start, exercising again, and I started that already. So I know walk. I started using the gym yesterday, so after I walk, I go and do a little resistance training. Start off slowly at first and building myself up. So, but I have been in the habit of taking some time for myself every single day. Um, and sometimes it comes at the end of the day when I'm ready to sleep. I'll lay in my bed and I'll go over my day and I'll think about myself and detune myself from whatever activities I have done during the day. So I've been a stickler for that. I always believe it's important that you take time off each day to reflect on yourself, on your life, and see, where you're going, where you want to go, or just simply relax and meditate. And I have to take back up meditation in a serious way.
Mhm.
I also promised myself, I've had a story in my head for years, and I promised myself this year I'm going to take the time to write my book. So,
Good.
I think selfism. Look, a very wise man who walked the earth 2,000 years ago said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself."
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people hearing that only hear the love thy neighbor part of it, right? But as thyself. So what it tells me is that you have to love yourself, and pay attention to yourself. And to love yourself, you have to know yourself.
Mhm.
So when you get to know yourself and you start loving yourself, then you can take that love and extend it to those around you. If you don't even know how to love yourself or who you are, then to me it's impossible really for you to love the others
Right.
outside of yourself.
Mhm.
So yourself, and I'm not advocating selfishness, but I am advocating that you give something to yourself which will further enable you to become selfless and give to others.
Mhm.
So I really
Yeah.
believe in that.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I mean, I do feel it's important to have, gratitude. And so every day I try to give thanks for all that I have, what I've received,
Mhm.
and ask for assistance to help me, go to whatever path I'm supposed to be on, because as I'm moving through in my life. So I think that's very important for us to give gratitude, you know.
Absolutely.
I think that's really
Absolutely.
part of our self-care is to be appreciative of what we have, and to ask to be able to, grow and help. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's very
Oh, yeah.
good. Yeah. Okay. And I think we've got the last one. So you
Yes.
want me to do that one? Okay,
Yeah.
leave the past in the past. Okay. Another important resolution is for you to let go of any anger, hostility, or animosity that you may harbor against others, whether it's this person, a family member, a colleague, a friend, an old flame. Resolving to let go of any hurt or pain that he or she may be caused you is especially meaningful for the new year. As you're removing this person's negative impact on your life while simultaneously giving yourself a fresh start, while you don't necessarily have to forgive and forget, you should make a concerted effort to look towards the future, no longer dwelling on the past. If you want to get the new year off to a great start, it's time to hit your personal restart button. And I really like that. Don't you? Hit your personal restart button.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really do. I really do think that's great. And when they talk about, because of course I do the divorce recovery and stuff, but when they talk about letting go of your past, and so often we think that that's because we have to forgive, and there's a difference there between the two. What they were saying with regards to, you don't have to really to forgive. You're basically just moving forward in your life, and you don't necessarily have to forgive and forget. And so often we think that as we're moving forward with something that's painful to us, we have to forgive. And really the person we have to forgive is ourselves, because a lot of times we question on whether, did we stay in the relationship too long? Did this, that. And so we just have to let that be, lay it down and let it go to where it is and just move forward. And, there's so many new places we're going to go in our lives, so many new people we're going to meet in our lives. Why dwell on the ones that didn't work for us,
Mhm.
and just take that lesson, learn the lesson that you were supposed to learn and move on with it, right?
Absolutely. I agree with that totally. I think that forgiveness, yes, starts with the self.
Hmm.
And it's the same principle of loving thy neighbor as thyself. Because if you can't forgive yourself, then I don't see how it's possible for you to forgive someone else. But I think forgiving people who have offended you in some way, whether it's in a relationship or however else, is also essential.
Hmm.
Now, we often say forgive and forget, which is to me kind of not possible. I
Hmm.
mean, I would forgive anybody, and I have forgiven many people in my life. And I'm sure I've done things and people have had to forgive me. And if they didn't forgive me, well, sorry, brother, you know. But the thing is that if you forget, as they say, I mean, I don't think it's possible for you to forget, but let's suppose it was possible, then you might find yourself back in the same situation, right?
Hmm.
And you have to forgive all over again, and that is something you want to avoid. If you forgive someone, you move on, and sometimes it means moving on from that person as well. It doesn't mean that you didn't forgive them, because when you forgive someone, you actually forgiveness. Look, if someone offends you, right, and you forgive them, that doesn't really do anything for that person because they will go on with their merry life either way. But it actually does something for you. That act of forgiveness does something for you. It lifts a burden from you and it allows you to continue and to go forward with freedom instead of a baggage. So forgiveness is very important, right? Because it allows you to take that baggage that you have been harboring and the ill feelings and all the negative feelings and put it aside. And now you're free to continue your life without that burden. So forgiveness is very important.
I think too that once you're able to forgive, and maybe forgiveness is more of an understanding, because so often, when you look at someone else and you think, let's say for instance, you're in a relationship that didn't work out or whatever.
Mhm.
Maybe the whole relationship wasn't bad. There are elements within that relationship that was probably very good and very, that you do have memories that you kind of would like to remember, but then there were ones that you don't want to remember, that were very sad, very hurtful, very painful for you. So those are the ones that you can step back and say, okay, this person is the way they are, and so I can just accept them for the way they are, and that they're not good in my life, and I'm just going to move forward. That's similar to feeling indifference about them. And so you may not ever forgive the act of the painful, what happened, transpired. You may not ever forget it, and maybe you shouldn't ever forget it, because that is what's going to keep you safe from never having to experience that again. And so when you can create a feeling of indifference, like, that person can have his own life and move forward and be very happy, and you're okay with whatever they decide to do, they're going to do it. But me in my space, I'm going to move forward in a different direction. And so I think that creates a much better feeling. And we've forgiven ourselves for, maybe going down the road a little bit too long, going through some of the things that we experience. But sometimes it's a learning process that we all have to experience. So,
Well,
but
I understand what you're saying, but I don't totally agree with you.
mhm. Oh,
Um,
good. I like this. The point groping. Okay. All right. It's about
because
time, Derek. Come on.
I know from experience
Mhm.
that forgiveness is essential for self gratification and for moving on.
Mhm.
I looked at a classic example of this. Recently, a young police officer, woman, walked into a man's house and shot him, right? In Texas or somewhere.
Mhm.
That was the end of last year. And in the courtroom, to me, something amazing happened. The brother of the man who was shot, and this man who was shot was an upright person. He was an accountant. She just walked into the room, his apartment. She said mistakenly, right, thinking it was hers, took him for an intruder, and she drew her weapon and she killed this man. Amazingly, in court, the man's brother, younger brother, asked the judge if he could give that young woman a hug. I have never seen anything like that in my life. I think the family of this young man, when he was the man who was shot, they were from St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and his family had to come here to the trial and so on. And that young man walked up to the police officer, and he gave her a hug, and he told her that he forgave her. I have never seen anything like it. It was totally unexpected, but I believe in forgiving that woman. That young man found peace within himself.
No, I agree with that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't forgive. I mean, I think that you should forgive, and when you do forgive, it creates an indifference, a feeling of indifference. You don't hold any, you don't harbor any ill will or anything like that as you're moving forward in your life. But what I'm saying with regards to not forgetting is when someone has done you harm, like abuse or something like that, you don't want to forget that.
You mean not forgetting?
Right.
Oh.
But because when you see the signs of that happening to you possibly in the future, you'll know it. It'll be up front and centered. Like before, you might not have been aware of what was happening to you because it just kind of evolved within the relationship. But when you're stepping out, going into another relationship, you do want to kind of remember, some of those things, because when you see the same signs again, you'll step back away from that kind of relationship. Because we go to patterns. We tend to have patterns in our lives. And if we haven't broke that pattern, you're going to be stepping right back into the next.
Well, that's why so many people walk back into the same messy relationship type again. Some women walk from one abuser to another.
Right.
And some men walk from one user to another. So it's, people have these patterns that are formed. Some people in a relationship and they break up and make up over and over again. And that's because the synapses have formed the pattern in your brain and you can't seem to get out of the loop. But it's important to be self-aware. And I'm not saying forgive and forget. No. Forgiving is not forgetting.
Right.
Forgiving is forgiving. You forgive that person, you have moved on. Right? Now, there's also forgiveness within relationships, right? That you may not end the relationship, but something might have happened in that relationship that has consequences that you need to forgive that person for. And if you truly forgive that person, then you move on from there without harboring anything in your mind, without, it might take some time to rebuild the trust, if it's a trust issue developed. But it doesn't mean that you are going to forget, but it doesn't mean that you are going to mention this to this person ever in life again if you forgive that person.
Right. I mean, if you're truly saying you're going to move on from whatever this is, if you've forgiven and you're moving on, you truly have to do that.
You have to do that.
Yeah,
you cannot forgive. And then at the first sign of anything, you bring up this incident and throw it back in the face. It's better you don't have a relationship if you're doing that.
Right.
But but you it's not that you have forgotten that it happened, but you have thrown it out of your mind and chosen to continue with your relationship in a sane way. And if you know you cannot do that, then I would say it's time to get out of that relationship.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, so when I say forgive, I don't mean forget. I just mean forgive.
Right, right, absolutely. No, I think we're on the same path because I do feel that we want to move forward in our lives, and so this is a great time. I mean, the beginning of a new year, it's time good things to let some things go, move
Just let go.
forward, and if you
Move
can't
on.
change the result or whatever it is, then just let it go and
Let
move
it
forward
go and move
into
on. You can't change the past.
no.
Even if you're a time traveler and you go back into the past, you probably wouldn't be able to change it because you're going to be changing a whole lot of outcomes coming down the road
Yeah.
that might
The
affect
thing
something
is,
else.
I personally feel that a lot of times we experience things because we have to learn from those things. A lot of the elements that are put before us is something that that we're to learn and to be able to move forward. Now, if it's something tragic, of course, then that's totally something different. But I think our everyday paths of crossing with people and having people come into our lives for a season or a reason, they're there for that
Oh,
particular
yeah.
time, and we learn something from them, and so we can take the good with the bad and kind of and move on with it. So
And move
yeah.
on. It's all part of the human experience.
Hmm. Yeah,
Look, if
absolutely.
you go through life, now I have a thing. I say I never had a bad day in my
Hmm.
life. But that doesn't mean I've not had bad experiences. I've had bad experiences.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't let an experience spoil my day, you know. And every experience I've had, whether it was a negative or positive experience, I try to learn something from it, you know. So to me, it's part of being a human being, all right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and we have to cope with all these ups and downs and so on in our lives. And if you
Hmm.
don't have them and you never experience them, I say, oh my God, you're missing out. If you
Hmm.
never got hurt, right? If you never got hurt in your life by somebody that you loved or whatever, then my God, you're missing out on your life.
Hmm. Yeah. I
Don't
mean,
try to get
we
hurt if you never
grow
got
and
hurt.
we become stronger
You
and
come
all of that.
become stronger. Then
Yeah.
you begin to understand the full gambit of your emotions.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so to me, it's all part of being human.
Hmm. I so agree. Well, listen, we're going to have to close the show. It goes by so quickly here. And
It's 9:43.
it sure does. So
Yes.
here's what we were talking about today, the 6 New Year's resolutions for singles, how to begin living your best life. That is truly the life of your choice. And so we want to make it a happy one for you so that you can move forward. I am Cece Schatz, and I have with me Derek Bernard, right?
Derek Bernard.
Yes. And you're listening to the Boy and Girl Thing show. And you are on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. We are the #1 internet singles talk network. So we will see you back here next week.
See you next week. I hope
All
you
right.
enjoyed.
Same time. Bye.
Bye bye.